Hi everyone and welcome to another coloring video. Today I am coloring a whole bunch of stamps which I'm using on two different videos. This little card you can find over at Craft World, and the accordion card you can find here on YouTube, and there will be links in the description down below for both of them. And I will talk a little bit more about Craft World when we come a little bit further into the video. So today's all stamps are all from the Hug It Out stamp set, and I have stamped them with Memento Tuxedo black ink on some Hammermill color copy cardstock, 80 pound. I really recommend going for the 100 pound, and that is what I'm gonna do the next time I buy a ream. But I have a ream full of cardstock in my drawer, and it was only like $14.90 from Amazon when I was in the US, so you can get them pretty affordable Copic paper if you use Hammermill, and I really like the Hammermill. It has a little bit of creamy tone to it. And I kind of like how the Copic colors show up on it. So for the first image I'm using is this big bear. This is the biggest image on the stamp set, and I think it's just so adorable. I am going to color all of these characters with a bunch of different browns and grays. Well, the fox gets to be red. And the reason why I'm going for browns and grays is because they are more neutral colors and they are easier to kind of pair with pattern papers and colors. I actually ended up going with a brown and pink color combination for both my cards, both the card over at Craft World and the accordion card that we have here on YouTube. Coloring them in different colors of brown makes it easier to pair them on any kind of card creation. So I'm starting off here with the E49. Now I want to warn you, E49 is a very dark and very potent color, and I usually try to pair it with my E59 because it's a little bit lighter and helps kind of blend it out. However, my E59 is completely dried out, so I need a new one. So the blending isn't perfect for the E49. It is very hard to blend E49 and E47 because of the big jump in between them. Because of the potency of the E49. But yeah, I start by going through and adding the shadows where I want them. So kind of where I want the rounded shadow, but also where I want the cast shadow. I'm adding some extra shadows on top of arms and stuff like that. And that is more because it helps define the arm against the body, and so on. So sometimes you don't do proper shadows because if you would do the proper shadows, they would go into each other and it would be hard to see where one part of the body of the bear kind of starts and another one ends. So I usually try to add shadows where I want things to be enhanced. And then I'm going in with the E47 to blend that out, to elongate the rounded shadows. Sometimes I will go over a drop shadow with a color, and I do that so that I can push the shadow a little bit further back into the paper, not to elongate the shadow most of the time. Most of the time it's just to kind of push it a little bit further into the paper so it isn't as stark as it looked in the beginning. You can already see here that I have a little bit of a harder time to blend the E49, and that is for two reasons. One is because I colored the whole bear, and the bear is a pretty big surface, and when you color big surfaces you want to go them part by part, which I'm actually doing later because I'm going to do a second layer on this bear. But yeah, it's a bit hard. So when if you are coloring and you are not getting a good blend, it could be because the different layers that you are making actually have time to dry in between. And when that happens, you have to re-wet the whole surface to get the particles to move. And sometimes they have gone so deep into the paper that it takes a lot of ink to get them to move again. So if you keep the paper wet, and not with water, with the ink, this is alcohol based, and you don't want to like start with a base of the colorless blender, because that will make it splotchy, because it will not evenly kind of go down into the surface. It's better just to go through your colors. If you really want to prime your paper, prime it with the lightest color. It will make the lightest color a little bit darker, but it will help the kind of the blending. After the E44 or 47, I go in with the E44. The E44 is slightly more dusky than the E47, so I make sure to go over the whole image with all the areas with the E44, like all of the areas that are already colored. Some colors will be very much tone in tone and will just have when they go up a couple of rungs, it will be the same color. It will just have a lighter tone. But some colors, like the E40s, the different pens have very different colors. They're very different in which color they are. So you might want to go over with the colors on top, or kind of layer the full color to give that undertone more even. That is also one of those things. If you just go in with a lighter color on the lighter parts and the medium color on the medium parts, you want to go over, like at least touch the different colors, because the way you blend is kind of letting the dark and the lighter color just overlap. But sometimes you actually don't want it just to overlap. You want to cover the whole just to keep the same undertone for the color. So this is my second layer. After I went with the E44, I went in with the E43 for the highlights. So this time I'm going in with one piece at a time. I start with the head and I go through all of the colors. Well, not the E49, because it was so potent. I didn't feel that I needed any more of it. So then I just go in with all of the other colors, the E47, 44 and 43, to just blend everything. This will make the beer darker, but it will also help with that blending. So here I chose, because the arm is kind of a delimiter, I chose to just go with the upper body and the arm and blend that to make sure that the ink doesn't dry in on the paper, and therefore it is much easier to blend them. So yeah, that's makes it that is what makes a better blend. But as you see, even though I've gone over twice, that black or that E47 doesn't really want to move that much, and it doesn't want to be blended, but it is a better look after layer 2. I could probably have needed a layer 3, but the thickness of this paper, being that it is 80 pound, makes layer 3 a little bit harder, because the pigment starts laying on top of the cardstock, and then that is when you get those kind of sticky surfaces. When you have filled up your paper with ink, when it doesn't take any more of that pigment, you can't push any more pigment into the paper, and then you start getting that shiny sticky surface. And the Hammermill 80 pound, because it is a little bit on the thinner side, it will only be able to get to tops 3 layers, and then it is full. This is going to be a long video, so you have to excuse if I drink a little bit water now and then, but it is a 44 long video, and I already have done 2 voiceovers, so my voice is starting to crack. But yeah, we are heading over to the little fox. So I'm going in with the W's. It's been kind of my favorite for the past few times I've been sitting down and coloring. I usually are kind of gravitating towards the N's and the T's, but I have been wanting that a little bit more like warmer tone for my kind of coloring here lately. So this little fox gets to have the grays. I'm not going for white, I'm going for like slightly gray for his fur. His nose is the E49 and E47, and then we're going in with my favorite reds. These reds are a little bit harder to blend. I think I'm doing a better job on the fox for another image a little bit later in this video. As I said, I am going to color, I think it is 5 images in this video. It is not all of the Hug It Out images, but it is a big bunch of them. It was a lot of fun. And it was a lot of fun making the cards, both the main card, but also that accordion card. It's a lot of building things together, and lately that has been my jam. So for this little fox, I'm using E19 and E09 as my 2 darkest colors for the red, and they are kind of interminglable because they both are 9s. By layering them, where you layer them, it will be darker, whichever pen you choose to start with. And then the other pen will be lighter where they're not layered. So you don't have to, I'm using, I think I started with E19 for this image, and I'm starting with E09 for the other one, mostly because that was the pen I picked up. For my darker orange, I got the YR18, and then I'm going in with the YR16. This is the thing. The YR16 is a very light orange, and what I did wrong here, which I did better on the other fox, is that I should have left smaller areas of that highlight. Because the YR16 is so bright, and I'm leaving so big areas, not only doesn't I get that dimension that I wanted, but also it kind of makes the blending look a little bit more sloppy. In my case, it's like these little details that I care about, but probably nobody else do. But yeah. For my little rabbit, I'm going in again with the W's. I'm going to make her, gray rabbit with pink, the whole bun at the back. I don't think rabbits have pink buns. I think they're kind of gray or whatever color that the bunny comes in. But I wanted it to have a gray little butt ball. Is it a butt ball? Is that how you say it? I don't know. It's cute and it's fuzzy. But I'm using the way I'm shadowing this piece is like the light is coming out of the bear. And it is on purpose. So in reality, you would either have a lighting surface that comes like straight forward or from one of the sides, and that would kind of shape how you add your shadows. But the bear is shadowed like it comes from the left side, and the reason for that is because he's facing the left side. And is it something I've learned from watching like American Supermodel for years, is that when a model is taking photos, they should face the light. They should open up their face, always looking towards the light to get as much light as possible for the face, because that makes an inviting card or an image. So, or a photo in that case. So that is how I kind of treat my characters. Most of the time, is that the main character is also always facing the light. However, in this case, I'm making all of the little characters sort of face the light, and that is more from an emotional perspective than an actual reality perspective. And that is, the bear itself is facing the light because he's supposed to be the main focus of the image, and then all the critters that are hugging the bear are also facing the light because they are facing the bear. So it's like the bear is shining and happy and cuddly and, I don't know, just heat coming from it. I don't know, something like that. It was the idea behind the coloring, however. You don't have to have an idea behind the coloring. It's just that right now I'm on this kick of emotions and love and happiness. I think it's because it's Valentine's. It's actually Valentine's today. I'm doing the voiceover the same day I'm uploading the video. This rarely happens, but I'm kind of behind with all of my videos lately because I work full-time nowadays, and working full-time takes up a lot of time. And even though I work from home, so technically I can just leave my desk and start crafting as soon as I end my job day, it has been a lot lately. It's been in a good way, not in a bad way. In a good way. I have a new job. I love my new job. I'm getting all of these incredible opportunities. It's a lot of fun. There is super people at the company. I'm so happy working for them. But energy-wise, I don't have as much as I was hoping that I would get. But hey, I'm working full-time. I wasn't able to do that last year. So we're going to look at the bright side also. But yeah, so I'm a little bit late. So I'm doing this on Valentine's Day while my wonderful boyfriend is sitting in the other room. I threw him out of our office because I wanted to make this voiceover myself. And I'm going to sit here for like 2 hours. So that's life, but it's fun. So while I have been talking about nothing but no coloring, I have colored the little owl, the little squirrel, and I'm now going on coloring the little raccoon. That's the word. Did you know that if you directly translate raccoon in Swedish, it is actually washing bear or wash bear, tvättbjörn. So basically, because they wash themselves, that's kind of the idea behind it. But it's kind of fun. So it's not a raccoon in Swedish. But anyhow, I'm coloring him in some darker W's, but still keep the W's. I'm going through the from W10 down to W0. I'm using every other pen. You don't need to use every pen. If you use every other pen, that will work out great too. It's a small enough gap to be able to get pretty good blends. And I'm going with the even colors because, I don't know, it's been the thing I have done. I've always gone with the even colors. I do have the whole set of Copics. So I could go with the uneven if I wanted to, but mostly I just color with the even ones. And I think it's also because I have the even one refills and I don't have the uneven one yet. It's expensive to stack up on Copics. It is. I have been collecting mine since 2013 and I finally have all of them. So yeah, now I just need to buy all the refills. Again, with the shadowing, it's just simple shadowing. I don't want to add too much details to all of the characters because that would overwhelm the image. I want to kind of just add a little bit of detail to all of the images to make them just cute and cuddly and feel a little bit round and cuddly and soft. I think soft is the word of the day. That is how I want you to feel when you see these really adorable characters. So for my next image is the fox and the bunny that is hugging each other. And this is where I felt I did a little bit better job with the fox. And again, I'm doing the same thing as I did with the little bear. And that is that I'm putting the light on the characters like they are lighting up each other. like they are just spreading warmth between each other, I think. It's magical what you can do with coloring and how you can kind of evoke feelings, or at least try to evoke feelings. I have no clue if I'm able to evoke any feelings with these little cute characters, but the idea behind it is I'm making the shadows fall on the backside of the bunny, but on the and on the backside of the fox, even though they are facing in different directions, just to get that feeling. I wanted them both to kind of be in the light source, because they are equally important in this hug. You know. I actually made the little card to my boyfriend. I haven't written anything in it yet, and I'm a little bit like, but it's so cute, this accordion card. I don't want to write anything in it in case I mess up and spell something wrong or something. Again, for the bunny's ears and nose and little butt ball, I make them pink with my favorite pinks for those kind of details, which are the R32 and R30. By the way, as usual, all the links are in the description down below. You also have a list in the description down below with all of the pens, and there is a link to my blog if you want to go there and see still photos of the different cards and images, and kind of read my thoughts behind it. Well, you can listen to my thoughts also. It's not a complete repeat between those two, but almost. And yeah, I talked a little bit about the bears, that they are part of my video over at Craft World. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about Craft World because, it's a fun new place. I don't know about you, but when I started in 2009, Facebook wasn't really a place for card making. The place you found card making were mainly on blogs. But there were also a couple of forums, and I think there is a couple of forums still left that are active, that people are using. But that was where I started, and it was how I started with all the challenges I did, because I love making challenges. It's a way to get ideas on the cards you are making and so on. So that was where I started. And then I started with YouTube, and I found that Facebook had a lot of crafting places. So I started being a part of those. But for the past few years, I feel Facebook has sort of died a little bit when it comes to kind of crafting content. The groups are still there, but the kind of the people that are active are just not as many anymore. They're just like, the groups can have tens of thousands of people, but it's still the same, just a couple of hundred people that are interacting in the group. So I've been wanting to be part of more of the crafting community in some way and shape. So Practical Publishing, which publishes magazines like Quick and Simple, that's not the word. I have it here. They make magazines like Simply Cards and Papercraft. That was the word. Papercraft Essentials, Creative Stamping, like magazines like that. They contacted me, and said, hey, we want to work with you. For me, that is a huge thing. Like, I started my world the card making. I found card making through magazines. Way back when, in like 2009, when I started with this, and I had a bunch of them, and it was so much fun finding all the inspiration from the magazines, and being contacted by a company like that is just wonderful. It just made me super happy, like really ecstatic. So they wanted me to be a part of Craft World. They wanted me to be a part to work with them. So they showed me Craft World, which I hadn't heard about before I talked to them. I didn't know about Craft World. And I really like the platform. It is new, so it does have their own no aches and pains like anything that is a baby. But I really like it. It has kind of that your own feed. So when you follow people or your friend people, you will see their creations come up in your feed, which I think is a really awesome thing. So you get your own like Facebook feed, but just with crafts. No other things, no politics, no nothing, just crafts and card making and other kinds of crafts too. The platform also have a forum where you can communicate with different people. You can still comment on different posts, but you can also like ask questions, and like the old time forums that I really, really enjoyed being part of. And then they have like experts that make videos, and you can make videos yourself, and you can post your creations, but you can also see the experts' videos. There is some videos that are uniquely just for the premium content. I just want to warn you that premium account is like £20 a year. That's like kind of, I think that is around like $25 right now. It kind of depends on when you sign up, what kind of exchange rate the pound has at that time. But yeah, it's a really nice place to be. And I have a link in the description down below if you want to join in with the craft world. Maybe see that video that I made that is uniquely there with the beers. But if you, just as a disclaimer, if you actually join through that link, they do get to know that I sent you, but it also will give me a very small commission. So just so you are aware. But yeah, it is free for most of the content, and then you have the premium feature, and the premium feature also is it gives you a percentage off to their store. They have a store called Craft Stash, and you also get those unique you get to be in a unique competition every month. There's a lot of nice things you can get from a premium subscription, but you will get the whole platform and everything for free if you don't go for the premium subscription. So just so you know. But yeah, kind of a fun place to be. But back to the coloring. This is the coloring that I did with the cute little koalas and the little lamb. I made two different ones with the lamb. It's going to be one at the end of the video too. And I actually used two different kinds of ways of coloring the fur. They look very similar, but they're a little bit different. Had a lot of fun coloring these koalas. Again, I'm not adding a lot of texture on most of the critters. I'm just plainly coloring them, giving them shadows and kind of rounding them up, but I don't give them a lot of texture. However, the lambs are designed with all those little bumps, so I feel that it would look a little bit strange just straight off coloring them without continuing that texture that are in the lines, and that is why I give the little lambs the texture. For the koalas, I went with a little bit of a darker gray scheme. So for most of the design over on the bear, I had it that you have the light grays, which was the W0, 2, and 4, and then you have the dark grays, which was the 10, 8, 6, and a little bit of 4 to kind of differentiate them. In this case, with the koalas, I go for a 6, 4, and 2 blend to give that kind of darker body with a little bit. I think I'd go in with a little bit of 0 on the face also, just to brighten up the face. While in the ears, most animals seem to have lighter fur in their ears, so I added lighter fur on the koala's ears. I don't know if they have lighter fur in theirs, because koalas was one of the animals I didn't look up. I actually did look up some of the others, like the bear. I looked at a brown bear to see how the coloration was on the brown bear, and I also looked up the raccoon to see, because I always do the wrong way around, making the head dark and the eyes white, but it's actually the difference. They have these big black mask on, like a robber or something. So for the lamb here, I'm gonna go in with the E40s. Now you can go with the lamb. The lamb can be so many different colors. You can use the E40s. If you want to go for a more cream colored lamb, I would recommend the E50s because they have a lot more cream in them. I really like, they almost go towards the orange, but I really like that color too. And then you can make them a black shape. You can make a gray shape. If you want to go for more of a wider shape, you can do that with any of the grays. But I actually chose to go for the lightest of the E40s to create the little lamb here. So for this lamb, which was the first of the lambs that I colored, I made little dots. So these like round dots filling up those bumps that are already on the stamps, leaving this little slight white line around it to give it a little bit more dimension. It is called a rim light, and I do use it quite often because it makes them look good. But yeah, so I went in with the E40 first to kind of map things out. This was the first time I colored one of these cheaps, so I kind of wanted to get a feeling for how to do it. All of these images here is the first time I colored them. Most of my images that I do in my coloring videos are the first time I'm coloring the images. It's very rarely that I color an image twice. Very rarely. Sometimes I make cards with the same stamps, but I like having new stamps. I like showcasing new stamps for you, and that is mainly why I color them once, I make a creation, and that is done. I have some stamps that I used over and over again because I really, really love them, but we'll see. These will probably go out on cards soon. That I will create more cards with them. I don't know if I will do them on YouTube or just on my blog, but they are super cute, and like, of course you want to send people a hug. Of course you want to send people a hug. So after I went in with the E41, I went in with the E42, and then I'm going back with the E41 to kind of just add a little bit more like smaller dots. The more shadow part have darker, bigger dots, and then the more you come to the light, the smaller the dots I'm using, because I don't know, it feels right when I do it, and it looks pretty good. And then I went in with the E40 just for a couple more dots. By the way, at least on the hammer mill and on the Make It Crafty color cardstock, the E40 will go on pretty dark gray because there's a lot of liquid in it. If you make these like little dots with the colorless blender, you will see that they turn gray on some cardstock, and the E40 is one of those that really shows up gray when it's wet, but when it dries, it's just a very light kind of gray cream. It has a little bit of a grayish undertone, much more than the E50. But yeah, so whenever you are coloring, if you are going for a light tone, and you add it to your paper like, this is so dark. Wait until it dries and you will see it will dry much, much lighter. And this is also why you really should do swatches and color up all your pens on swatches. Copics are not color fast, so you will have to redo your swatch chart now and then because they will bleach. The sun will bleach the colors as time goes on. Just so you know. So for my, I think fourth image, I'm doing this monkey and dog. It's so adorable. The monkey is like hugging it. And just by the way, I had a dog. My ex got it in our separation, which I love the dog, but I was in no shape and form being able to take care of her because she needed like 4 hours of walk a day, and I worked in a separate town. I wouldn't have been able to take care of her. But when she was a little baby, she got a little monkey. It was actually a child's kind of fussy animal, and it had, the arms were super long and it had Velcro on the hands, so you can kind of just put the monkey around the neck of the dog. So we did that. Towards the end, the dog was so big so that monkey couldn't reach anymore. And I don't know how many times we re-sewed on the arms after the dog pulled them off. But she loved that monkey. Oh God, she loved that monkey. And yeah, so for me, this image, I didn't color the dog as my dog because it was a German Shepherd or a German Shepherd mix. But it kind of got me thinking about her, about my little Bessie. She wasn't a little dog, she was a pretty big dog. But yeah, so for the monkey, I'm going in with some more of the browns. I'm using the same colors. So the color scheme that I picked out for the bear and all the characters in the bear is the same colors that I then used for the rest of the images. So I had them lying beside me on the table or just all around the image. The wonderfulness of actually being able to zoom in on just the image makes it that you can't see that I have pens all over the place when I'm doing this. Right now they are in a little porcelain thing on top of the pen holders, so I'm gonna go and clean that up later. But yeah, that's the way I store them when I'm in the middle of a project. For the monkey, I'm adding some R32 for the cheeks, and then I'm adding some R30 to mix it out. I also add that on top of the ears and on the nose. I could have added some on the feet and the hands too, because just like humans, monkeys have something called subsurfing scattering, where you can see kind of the red from your red blood cells going in your capillaries, which are those teeny blood vessels that you have all over your body. And they are more visible in some areas, like on your cheek, on the tip of your ears, on your nose, your chin, in between your eyes, in your fingertips and your elbows, on your toes and your knees. Whenever you color a character, a human character, if you want to make it feel a little bit more human, add a little bit of pink in those areas. Some designers or illustrators add a lot of it, and it can look really cool. However, I usually just put a slightly little bit just to make the human character, humanoid character, seem a little bit more alive. For the dog, I'm actually coloring him very simply in those very light E40s, because I didn't want to go in and give a lot of detail to him. I wanted him to be pretty simple, and that is what I got. And then I used the E47 and 44 to give him like brown ears and nose. So for the last character, I am doing this little lamb and fur which is it's just adorable. Lamb and pig. Sorry, starting to get tired. We're at 39 minutes. We got 5 minutes more. I'm doing this in one take, so yay me. But anyhow, I'm going in with the same colors for the lamb as I did for the other lamb, but the fur is going to be a little bit different. I'm using the E42, 43, 42 and 41 for the claws and the face and the ears. I don't know if they have that, but I thought it would be a little bit cute to just have it pretty light with the light fur, because they would kind of mesh a little bit better together then. For the fur here, I start off doing like a little bit of dotting, but these dots are a little bit different. I'm used doing like a little bit more of a C shape to these little shapes. And the reason why I'm doing that is because when you are coloring, for example, clouds, but also when you can color fur, this is a technique to make it look like it's really, really bumpy. The C shape gives you the illusion of a C-shaped shadow, and then that the area that isn't colored is like a little bump. It's that the sun hits it or the light hits it, and all you get is that little shadow that the bump leaves behind, more than the actual having to make all of the little bumps individually. And that is how I'm coloring this little sheep. So I'm doing these like little U-shape, C-shape motions. They're not exact. They are not very... you can see I go very fast when I do it. And the smaller they are, the less of a shape, more of a dot that I do. And also I'm trying not to add too much of that shadowing on top of the head. Or at the lighter parts, just to leave a little bit more light, but still kind of trick the brain that it is all fuzzy. And the last image, the last little character is my little pig. And I'm gonna go in with a little bit of a different pink tone for it. I think pigs are not like pink, they're like pink with an undertone of orange. So I am choosing to go with R32 as the shadow tone because it goes a little bit more towards the bluer spectrum. And then I'm going in with R12, which is a much redder, much more orange light pink. And I'm just blending that R32 with that. The R12 is a little bit lighter than the R32. They're still both 2s, so they're in the same kind of value family. So they don't give you that much of a dimension, but the difference in oranges and the pinks kind of still makes it more, gives it that dimension. And to end it off, I'm using the R11 to just do the highlights. And I've given this pig a lot of highlights. This is one of the few images where I actually added the shadows towards the other animal, and that is because there is so much body of the pig, so by adding the light more on top, it makes it more alive. I don't know, just my choice there. Well, thank you so much for listening to me for like 43 minutes and 44 seconds. If you want to see more like this, hit that subscribe button. If you liked it, hit that like button. And if you have any questions or anything, just comment down below. I will see you later, and bye.